Hello my friends, John LaRufa here with another Straight Up Solo. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at Maglev Metro. All right, so this is a 1 to 5 player game, I believe. And I'm going to show you, so 1 to 4, pardon me. I'm going to show you how it plays solo, and that way you can take a look and see, is this the game that you want to do from a solo perspective, or is this something that you would prefer to just have for multiplayer or avoid completely? So let's take a look. All right, so I am several turns in, actually many turns into a solo game, and I'm playing on the Berlin side of this map. And so the map, this game comes with 2 maps. The Berlin side is much more constrained, and the New York side, or the Manhattan side, is much more free-flowing. And I'll kind of explain why that is in a second. You'll notice a couple things here. I've got this group of passengers set down here. That's my turn marker. At the beginning of every turn, I've got to draw a passenger out of this bag. And if there are no passengers in the bag when I draw, I try to, the game is over. I have my, I would say, I'm not sure what they call it, but let's just say my, my board here that allows me to do different turns, different things. In the beginning of the game, you start with 2 actions. If you fill up each of these, you get an additional action per turn. When you go to take an action, you can do anything where there is a person, and that could be any of the pre-printed ones or where you place a person later on. And it's really not a person, it's a robot in the case of these metallic looking ones. The persons are these other ones over here, the lavender and the purple, the red and the salmon, I think they say, or maybe that's pink and salmon, I don't know. And so basically what you're trying to do is you're doing a standard pick up and deliver in the most efficient way possible with your tramway, okay? You're also building stations, you're refilling those stations with passengers, the usual things you'd expect out of a pick up and deliver train game. You also have, at the beginning of the game, you draw one of each type of goal, and those goals can give you up to 15 points per card if you unlock additional cards here. Otherwise, you have to choose your highest one. You get up to 15 points for that one. But if at some point in the game you managed to put 3 of the passengers in here, the human passengers, you can unlock another card to score with that card. There is a constraint, though. In the single-player solo mode, you will be drawing these 2 goals, even though they won't be goals for you. They will say, this connected to this. And in this case, instead of getting the 5 points for the direct connection, these are not allowed in the game. So I'm not allowed in this case to connect a studio with a lab or a studio with a store, okay? And those are these different stations right there. So the turns are extremely quick. You're going to start by drawing a person out of the bag. Then when you draw that person out of the bag, you are going to take some actions. And the actions will be limited by the number you have. So for instance, I have 3 actions to start. And what I would then do after, and I've already drawn the person out of the bag, to start is I would go ahead and take my 3 actions. And they could be anything I want. And there's some rules about how you move. Basically, just like a subway, you can't turn around in the station, so you kind of got to go down one and then it turns around and go to the other. So you're not allowed to, basically make turns unless you use an action to reverse your train. So that's one of the constraints. The other thing is that, like anything else, passengers want to go to the station that matches their color. And I think that most people are pretty familiar with that type of train game mechanic, so I won't spend too much time on it. But let me just show you how quickly a couple of these turns go. So I'm going to decide, I've got 3 actions, 1, 2, and 3. The first thing I'm going to do is I need to take an adjust action. And why do I need to do that? Well, because I got to build a station. In order for me to build a station, I have to have a person here, but I don't have anybody there. So my first action is going to be to adjust. And I'm going to adjust, I'm going to take this guy from pickup, which I don't need right now, put it in build station, okay? And now I can build a station. That was action number 1. Action 2, I'm going to build the blue station this time because I want to add these blue guys to the bag and get some more turns. Once this runs out, like I said, it's over. So in the solo game, it's really important for you to try to build all 4 of these types of stations at some point to be able to keep taking turns. The rules are I have to put it on an open spot where my tracks have already connected, so this works. And then I take this person, and I can put the person anywhere I want that would match the particular color. in this case, you've got a couple things going on. You could try to fill up these lines to get an additional victory point per that color person. Fill up one of each to get an additional victory point per link that you make. So a link is like this, okay? Or you could put them down here and unlock more stations, or like I said, over here to unlock more victory cards, or over here to get extra actions. In this case, I think I'm going to put him down here to attempt to start unlocking the red station, okay? Because I want to have more turns. And then, like I said, I scoop up all of these, and we'll do it with the old right hand, so I don't spend the rest of the video trying to do it. All right, we get all these, we toss them in the bag, and so now these are ready to go in the bag to draw for other turns. Okay, and so then I have one more action left, and in this case, I have a guy already in my train. I'm going to decide to actually build a track. All right, so when I build a track, it's usually one building point if you put it on land, or two if it goes across the river here. In this case, I do have the ability to build a 2. And so why don't I go ahead and build this track? We're going to have it point over here. Now, one thing is, in this game, actually, I'm going to build one like this. In this game, you cannot have a track coming, you can't split your line. So this line has to be continuous throughout, okay? On the other side of the Manhattan map, that's allowed in the hub, which makes it much more flexible and kind of makes that rule not really come into play all that often. But in this case, on the Berlin side, it does come into play. So I built that for my last action. All right, so I go over here, I grab one out for the timer, so to speak. Now I have 3 more actions. I'm going to move once, then I'm going to drop off a passenger at this spot. When I drop him off, I put it over here in my line, and I'm going to go ahead and drop him over there because I want to unlock more stations. And then my third action is going to be to move over here. So now I have moved there, that turn is over. Again, I draw one out for my next turn. I want to pick him up for 1, move him over here for 2, drop him off for 3. And you can see just how fast this pick up and deliver mechanism really goes here. Quite quickly, actually. So I go for my next turn. And now I'm drawing out. And maybe I want to start to refill the stations to get some other people, maybe those blue people, to this side, okay? So let's go ahead and change this up a bit. Let's take the refill station action right here. And so I get to refill just with 1, unfortunately. So it's not very good with the way I did things. And that's why this game is all about efficiency. It's all about figuring out how to do this the best. But for the sake of what I'm doing, I will go ahead and do this. So I will draw 1 out of the bag randomly. It is a blue. I'm going to put him right there. And I had to choose the station before I drew, but I knew I was going to put it right there, okay? Then my next move is going to probably be to adjust. And I should probably adjust this over here. Now, that would have been great if I had some better thought about how to do this, but I don't really need to drop off more than 1 in this case because I'm not picking a whole bunch up. So I'd move there, and then for move number 3, I go here, okay? And you can see just how fast this is happening. Draw out the bag for 1, for the AI player, or the solo timer, pardon me. Then I go ahead and I load for 1, drive for 2, deliver for 3. On this delivery here, it's another blue one, so it probably makes sense. I could probably start to try to get more victory points for that. So that is the gist of this game. You are trying to be as fast as possible. You're trying to extend your turns by adding stations to put more guys in the bag so you keep taking turns. And it's that at the end of the game, you're going to score for these kinds of categories. So you're going to score for your human passengers. Okay, you might score extra if you filled in those bonuses like I talked to you about. You'll score for your links. You might score extra if you fill in those bonuses like I talked to you about. And then you'll score for your gold cards. And again, you can do 1 card without anything, but after that, you have to start unlocking them by unlocking these additional things over here. You get your subtotal of your points. You subtract how many turns you took, which is equal to this number of guys here, and then you compare your score to the back of the book. and they have a Manhattan and a Berlin one. So as you can see, my first score was quite abysmal. I was a loud phone talker, so not so good in that case for Manhattan. And then over here in 60 for the Manhattan second game, I was Casey Jones Memorial Visitor. So I have no idea how you're going to get into this spot, but I've only played the game a couple of times, and so, you know, there's efficiencies and there's ways to do that, but it's going to take some serious doing to keep on rolling up that. So that's about the size of it. That's how the game plays. You can see how fast it plays. Let's go ahead and I'll tell you what I think about it. Okay, so that gives you an idea of just how the turns are going to flow in Maglev Metro when you're playing solo. Now, this game is completely a puzzle. It's an optimization puzzle top to bottom. That is the whole thing. In essence, the randomization from the game comes from the couple of goals you start with, the constraint cards that you get, and the way that the guys are put out, the different robots on the board. But those, you know, are known from the beginning. So you get a little bit of variety as far as what comes out of the bag when you go to draw. But for the most part, you can look in there. You can't look in there while you draw, but you can look in there to tell what's most likely going to happen. So you get a lot of control. So if you like optimization puzzles and efficiency puzzles and trying to maximize, you know, the way to squeeze the most action out of each move, this is a great game for that. It is beat your score. You could see there is no interaction with any other outside player or anything else moving around. And you know what? I know a lot of people would say, well, I like that. Why don't they do that? That would be fine if you wanted to do that, but I don't mind this type of solo puzzle to play. If you wanted an Autonoma who was going around and, you know, doing different things there, that would require a considerable amount of, you know, a deck and other things, which is totally fine again and totally doable, but it is not part of this game. This game, when you play solo, is specifically you know, that efficiency puzzle. And you can see just on my first two games, the first game I scored 7 points, the next game I scored 60. There are definitely some major consequences to how efficient you can be. Now, I haven't played a ton of games yet, but I plan to play a lot, and I'm interested to see if I get generally better or if it kind of like bounces around after a certain point and I kind of level out. So we'll see what happens. But there is a lot to like here from that standpoint of trying to be better, you know, that efficiency. For people who are looking for like a multiplayer experience where you play this and it feels just like the multiplayer game, this is not going to provide that. There is nobody snagging the guys out from under you. There is nobody moving into your station and, you know, changing things. In this game, though, with these clear tiles, there is no way to block people like you would normally block them in other train games, you know, like Age of Steam or something like that, where you kind of build them and block them out of a station. That's not happening here. So that mechanism doesn't exist regardless. It's more along the lines of taking the people that you'd want it, that you might want, and you know, kind of foiling your plans that way. But regardless, that is not present at all if you buy this for the solo and playing it only solo. So beware, if that's what you're looking for, you will not find it here. If you are looking for a very quick playing optimization puzzle, this is going to have it in spades, I think. Sure, it could get a little samey, I guess, but you know, with the goals changing up, and I know it would be nice if there's a few more boards, and I hope there will be, but with the goals changing up and different things happening, I can see that you know, there's enough legs to keep this game going for me, at least. The other thing is that I swear this game can be over in 20 minutes if you are playing fast. Maybe 30 minutes if you get stuck on some things. But it is super duper quick. I mean, you saw how fast I took those couple of turns. And in just preparation for this video, I almost exhausted the bag just trying to get into it a little bit by maybe not some best planning. And it was almost over before I even started the actual videotaping of the content in there. So the turns go so fast. And it was maybe like 5-10 minutes tops of playing, tops. So if you're looking for something that sets up quick and you can do fast, this is also good. The one downside is you do have to separate all the little guys at the end of the game to put them in piles, because you're not adding them all to the bag at once. You're only adding them into the bag when you build a station. Very small downside, but besides that, it is just a snap to set up and get to the table. So I like it, but I could absolutely see where it may not be for people who just like solo puzzles or who like beat your own score. If those things, you don't like those things, then you will not like this game. If you do like those things, you will. If you're looking for a game with lots of interaction as if it simulated the multiplayer, you will not like this game solo. So that's what I think about it. I hope this was informative. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, do so. Please like and subscribe because I really appreciate it. And that's about the size of it. So I hope you enjoy whatever you play in the future. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.